it's Amaje, back at here with another video, and we're about to be watching the top 10 most forgotten 80s horror movies. I've seen a lot of 80s horror movies, and a lot of them I heard of from like Dead Meat channel. Check him out on YouTube. He a great YouTuber. Um, there's a lot of them on there I seen, but like maybe I'll learn something new on here. Maybe I haven't seen some of these.
Here are 10 forgotten 80s horror movies you must watch. Number 10, The Burning. In the wake of the overwhelming success of the Friday the 13th franchise, many slashers emerged with the intent of capitalizing on the bloody exploits of Jason Voorhees and co. Among them is 1981's The Burning, a relatively small feature that, while bearing a notable similarity to its source of inspiration, still featured enough to stand out and gain a cult following over the years. Inspired by the urban legend of the Cropsey Maniac, the slasher follows camp caretaker Cropsey after he recovers from a prank played on him by a bunch of campers gone horribly wrong. Terribly disfigured, both physically and mentally, the caretaker turns into a serial killer thirsty for revenge against nearby campers. Upon its release, critics were not impressed by its similarities to the 1980 horror classic and denounced its gore that was part of a wider crackdown on video nasties during the decade. However, its reception has warmed significantly in recent years, with modern critics and audiences praising its set pieces and special effects work from the great Tom Savini.
That was crazy because like people would not like something. Well, I can't even words though, but people would not like something back in the day. But like the more you watch it later on, the more it becomes like this little cult classic to probably like you and like a few people in the community. But like that's how I kind of like movies. They may not make money at the time, but like they become legendary in other people's eyes. I mean, I think that's what some filmmakers go out to do. Some make money, some go out there just to like produce a film and make sure like it becomes a special and embedded in like the horror community forever.
Number 9, Dead and Buried. A zombie movie that chose to play things in low-key fashion, at least as far as horror is concerned. 1981's Dead and Buried is another motion picture that gained a favourable appraisal after its release, and with good reason. It effectively builds tone and suspense, features a foreboding atmosphere, and its effects work by the legendary Stan Winston are top-notch. The story sets its focus on Sheriff Dan Gillis, played by James Farentino, and a local coroner, William Dobbs, played by Jack Albertson, investigating a disturbing streak of killings in their town that have no motive or pattern beyond the brutal targeting of visitors. As the duo further unravel the mystery, Gillis realizes that his fellow townspeople are far from normal, and Dobbs is at the center of said phenomenon. Coroner Dan O'Bannon's screenplay embraces surrealism, but ensures that the story and characters treat and deliver said surrealism with an odd sincerity rarely seen in such movies, helping it stand out from the pack as far as tone is concerned. Number 8, From Beyond. Helmed by Stuart Gordon and starring Jeffrey Combs, the director-actor duo who gave us Reanimator, From Beyond does not quite reach the dizzyingly gruesome heights of its fellow Lovecraft adaptation, but is still a visually striking, gruesome cinematic affair with a satirical bent that indicates it has a fair bit on its mind compared to most horror fare of its time. Fitting for a Lovecraftian adaptation by Gordon, the movie has scientist Dr. Edward.
I don't lie, I don't like a lot of like slimy stuff and there was this one movie that I seen. It was just like a whole orgy horror thing. Oh, I was so fucking disgusted after I watched that movie, and it just gave me the heebie-jeebies. I wasn't scared, it just gave me the fucking heebie-jeebies. I don't like slimy disgusting stuff. I can deal with gore and hacking people to pieces and shit like that, but like it's when they design stuff to be like that and it just makes it all slimy and melty. Like I couldn't even deal with I forgot that one scene when the dude stuck his hand inside the thing and it bit his hand off from the stomach. Ugh. It creeps me out. I forgot the name. The Thing. Yeah, yeah, The Thing. That's the name of the movie. The Thing. He stuck his hand in there, and the mouth from the stomach just chomped that nigga's hand off. I was so irritated. I don't know why I'm irritated by that one scene, but it just irritates the shit out of me. It just gives me the shivers every time I see it.
Pretorius, played by Ted Sorrell, and his assistant, Dr. Crawford Tillinghast, played by Combs, and the two scientists end up locked in a battle of heightened consciousness, body horror, and eldritch heart terrors. Thematically, it expertly explores mankind's hubris in dealing with the unknown and grotesque fascination with the human body. At the end of the day, despite not matching its predecessor, this is a heady, over-the-top piece of cinema that unashamedly embraces its kinks, freakish undertones, and imagery. Number 7, Next of Kin. A notable entry from the world of Ozploitation cinema, Aussie low-budget filmmaking, Tony Williams' 1982 mind-bending horror feature benefits strongly from solid lead performances, and Linda Stevens, played by Jackie Caron, is the protagonist of this slow-burn narrative, a woman who inherits her deceased mother's estate and its accompanying retirement home. Once she settles in, however, mysterious deaths begin to occur as Linda begins to learn more about her troubled family history, particularly her seemingly long-past aunt, Rita, played by Bernadette Gibbs. As mentioned before, the visuals are top-notch, and they are ably supported by a creeping score and precise editing.
Hey, if you able to do that shit with like a low budget, you already got a masterpiece of a movie. Like if they got like reviews like that and it is what this guy's saying right now, and they can do with little budget, they should have gave like that director like more opportunities to make more movies, bro. Cause like directors like that are like special in like once in a lifetime.
However, the true stars of Williams' motion picture are its atmosphere and pacing, each working in tandem to build a palpable sense of suspense as Linda uncovers the dark truths about her new estate. Number 6, The Changeling. Haunted horror movies are easy to find in American horror, and while that is not quite the case in the Canadian side of things, this section of world cinema has one of the best entries in the subgenre in the form of The Changeling. Directed by Peter Medak and inspired by events that writer Russell Hunter claimed to experience in the 60s, this, after experiencing great tragedy, famed composer John Russell, played by George C. Scott, moves from New York to Seattle, where he rents a long vacant mansion. Not long after occupying the structure, Russell begins to experience supernatural events tied to the death of a 6-year-old boy named Joseph Carmichael, played by Valdy Way. This is from nearly 7 decades prior to the story's events. This ghost story is capably anchored by Medak's direction and Scott's performance, who gives Russell an intriguing blend of somberness and desperation as he attempts to uncover the mystery behind Carmichael's gruesome demise. The sound design is also competently executed, immersing viewers into the haunting soundscape plaguing Russell, and actors Melvin Douglas and Trisha Van Dever round out the film's strengths, effortlessly stepping into their supporting roles as historian Claire Norman and devious senator and unwitting imposter Joseph Carmichael. Number 5, Stage Fright. The realm of Italian cinema is renowned for its giallo productions, and Stage Fright, Dell'Aria in Italian, is a seminal example of this. While its status as a giallo feature or a slasher flick is sometimes debated, there is no denying that this visually dazzling and claustrophobic project is impactful and unnerving in its own right. The giallo offering follows a theatre troupe rehearsing a play about a fictional killer known as the Night Owl dealing with a real-life murderer of their own, Irving Wallace, played by Clayne Parker or George Eastman, after the latter becomes obsessed with the play story. Once an apprentice of famed director Dario Argento, Soavi and writers Lou Cooper and Sheila Goldberg infuse this project with a gallows sense of humor and interesting commentary on the relentless pursuit of artistic perfection and the sensationalization of violence in art.
Oh wow, that's a creepy ass mask. That's like a good mask to have for like a slasher. So I mean, I can get how that shit's scary, but I mean, I feel like this movie should have been more popular too, based upon like the scariness. Maybe it was just like the pacing of the movie, because sometimes the pacing and the other stuff in the movie will literally like fuck up everything, and that can make it like a great movie, and you just like never know.
Means the nail-biting set pieces are captured in surreal but somehow appealing colors and frames. Number 4, Butcher, Baker, Nightmare Maker. This interestingly titled horror thriller covers taboo, potentially sensitive material in an expert manner uncommon for its genre or even time, and still manages to offer viewers the requisite chills they have come to expect from horror pictures. William Asher's 1981 opus explores the devastating effects of an Oedipus complex, while crafting in Cheryl Lynch, played by Susan Tyrrell, a villain who is both captivating and repulsive in equal measure. Plagued by the above-mentioned antagonist is her nephew Billy Lynch, played by Jimmy McNichol, who lives with his his controlling aunt after his parents died in a car accident when he was a baby. After Cheryl kills a shop technician out of spite, she inadvertently lands Billy in a complex and unnerving criminal investigation surrounding the murder and his own sexuality. An 80s horror movie exploring sexual identities outside the norm sounds like a potentially offensive affair, but to its credit, the slasher treats its gay characters with respect. This is particularly true for Tom Landers, played by
I'm not gonna lie, they really did not treat gay characters gay anything back then in the 80s. They really just thought that it was just like something wrong with them and they're just like outcasted. Like, I mean, it's fucked up to even think about that. Everybody should just be treated how they can be treated. Even like they're good actors, let them be treated how they want to be treated. They should be treated with respect because, like, if they can put on good movies and everything, there shouldn't be nothing wrong with them. They got nothing malicious about them. Then they can put on great acts and get along with everybody. That's all good.
caught up in the wake of Cheryl's grotesque behavior. Speaking of Cheryl, Tyrrell breathes deliciously over-the-top energy into her character, whose love for her nephew goes into uncomfortable territory. Her campy flair is only matched by Bo Svensson's Joe Carlson, who gives an
Incest shit.
unapologetically and fitting, deranged performance as the homophobic detective investigating the central murder. Number 3. Dolls. Another entry from Stuart Gordon, 1987's Dolls, does not hit the dizzying heights of his earlier work, but still functions as an entertaining and disconcerting reimagining of Hansel and Gretel, but with possessed puppets and dolls housing the souls of violent criminals. The movie kicks off with 6 individuals, a family of 3, 2 hikers and a businessman, seeking shelter in a mansion following a particularly intense thunderstorm. The mansion's owners, Gabriel and Hilary Hartwig, played by Guy Rolfe and Hilary Mason respectively, readily welcome the weary travelers, but they gradually learn that the elderly couple's toys are far more sinister and paranormal than one would expect. Admittedly, this feature lacks the polish of Reanimator or even From Beyond, but the puppetry and stop-motion work are solid and enhanced by its dark fantasy tone and sensibilities, which elevates it above standard haunted.
Honestly, I've seen worse puppet movies than this. This puppet movie actually looks pretty good compared to other shit. Ugh. The stop motion and everything else just looks terrible. I feel like that one scene from Tales from the Hood where the puppet killed the dude was kind of horrible.
As fair. Beyond its gnarly and violent doll-fueled imagery, Dolls features solid performances from the cast, with Carolyn Purdy embodying spiteful rage as stepmother Rosemary Bauer and Ian Patrick Williams as neglectful father David Bauer being the standouts. Number 2. Night of the Creeps. Fred Decker's directorial debut, Night of the Creeps, is a lot of things. It's an alien invasion story, a slasher movie, zombie feature, comedy, and homage to B-movies all in one. While the latter aspect of the 1986 project explains its subgenre combination, it still stands out on its own to deliver a unique viewing experience worthy of its cult film status. Best friends Chris Romero, played by Jason Lively, and J.C. Hooper, played by Steve Marshall, are keen on joining their university's fraternity. This is mostly the case so that Chris can win over the affections of his crush Cynthia Cronenberg, played by Jill Whitlow. But in order to do this, the duo must steal a cadaver from the campus's medical center and then leave it at the door of their rival fraternity. Unsurprisingly, this fails once the friends realize the body
Fuck. So basically, you steal a dead person and leave it near a door? What kind of fucking prank is that? That's just crazy.
they intend to steal is far from dead, and gory, over-the-top events including aliens, body-possessing slugs, a murder mystery, and zombies ensue. For some, the genre melding might be a bit off-putting, and to be fair, the picture does not always nail its ambitious juggling act, but what it does is show its reverence for these genres in its execution, and said reverence goes a long way in upping its shock and entertainment factor. Number 1. Beyond Dreams' Door. Written and directed by Jay Wolfel in yet another directorial debut, Beyond Dreams' Door delivers a wonderfully surreal story that effortlessly captures the terrifying and confounding nature of nightmares. This 1989 indie horror movie was inspired by a 1983 short film of the same name and largely featured cast and crew from Ohio State University, where it was based. The low-budget but bizarrely charming cinematic effort follows Ben Dobbs, played by Nick Baldassare, a young college student who is plagued by vivid and unsettling nightmares filled with inexplicable imagery. He seeks the assistance of his psychology teacher, Professor Knox, and the latter's assistants. The team finds a connection between Ben's dreams and that of D.F. White, a man whose dreams were so intense that he slipped into a coma and died, and this discovery reveals the presence of a supernatural entity that stalks individuals' dreamscapes. The feature wears its Lovecraftian influence on its sleeves. The short film was inspired by Lovecraft's The Shadow Out of Time, and this can be seen in the monster that is terrifying Ben. It may not feature the polish of other films on this list, but it makes up for it with its dreamlike tone and meandering pace, which ends up being oddly fitting for such a story.
Man, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be taking a look at all these scary movies because like there's some like scary movies that I'm just trying to like be out hunting because like I'm literally like left with nothing to watch right after I like be watching the typical new scary movies that be coming out and I just don't be feeling them. So maybe these 80s B movies as they call them, even though they're not B movies, they probably like good movies, but huh, I'm gonna be checking them out. But and let me know if you guys gonna be checking anything out on this list. But we're gonna be getting we're gonna be getting into going to two. Fuck, fuck up my words. But hey, if you guys like that video, like and subscribe. We on the way to 300 subscribers. Don't forget to like and sub.